one objective was we have to survive one more day.
Is there something in your childhood that instilled this love for India in you?
Whether it was state government, central government, local people, somebody gave me his house to live, to study, the street lamp under which I studied other things. So there is a lot that has contributed to who I became.
Raution Jaiswal is the founder of InsuredMine, a CRM and workflow platform for US insurance agencies. InsuredMine is a bootstrap success story managing over 8 billion in insurance premiums. Raution is also a philanthropist impacting lives of underprivileged children in West Bengal.
What makes you so patriotic? Roshan, welcome to the Founder Thesis podcast. You're the founder of InsuredMine. Which industry, I mean, okay, the name gives it away, but which industry are you serving? What exactly is the product?
Hi, thanks for inviting me, Akshay. It's a privilege to be on your podcast. So, InsuredMine is a vertical SaaS insurtech platform. We cater to independent insurance agency market, which is basically a distribution channel as a CRM for these independent agencies to sell better, sell faster, and be able to engage and connect with their customers, primarily in the US market.
If you want to buy a policy in India, you will either go to an agent or you go to Policy Bazaar or one of these web platforms and buy your policy. How does it work in the US?
Absolutely. So again, I think the concept of insurance is 300 to 400 years old. Started in Lloyd's of London, uh, out there in London. So, but let's look at the core concept of insurance in US market, and then we'll compare how it is different to India. In US, when you're looking at insurance, there is three primary segments: health insurance, life insurance, and then third is the PNC, property and casualty insurance. You double click PNC, it has personal insurance and commercial insurance. So our focus is primarily on the PNC, personal and commercial, on the property and casualty side. Compare that to India, the most evolved aspect of insurance in India has primarily been the life insurance side. That's what we all typically know. There is a potential and it's growing, the PNC side, especially on the personal lines. You still do not have a deep penetration of home insurance. Home insurance typically is bought by people in India today who is getting loan for their house. Typically, you don't go and insure your house. And I tell everybody out here in India, guys, if you don't have a home insurance, please do go and get one. I am one of those beneficiaries in US. It's a wonderful story how my house, everything was kind of literally burned down in US, but I had an insurance which literally paid off for everything. And it was such a financial relief, even though, you go through the whole torturous process mentally, but at least you are financially safe. So that thing is not there yet in India, where houses are getting insured, businesses are getting insured to that level. So I think that penetration is there to be captured. And there is a huge opportunity out there in that property and casualty space. Life insurance is good. I think also health insurance is catching up because of a lot of government intermediation in this, of all the services that they are providing.
Mm. Car insurance is in PNC only, right? Which is like,
Yes, it's yeah. And
right.
car would also fall into both sides. So if you have a truck or lorry, it will be a commercial insurance. Whereas if you have your personal car, it will still be an auto insurance, but it's a personal insurance.
Okay. How is insurance sold in the US as compared to India?
Great question. Insurance. So let's again focus on PNC first, and then I'll talk about the other two. So in PNC, there's 40,000 independent insurance agencies, not agent. And these agencies, each agency is, because you can only sell insurance if you are licensed. So these 40,000, I think probably there are 500,000 people selling insurance in that space. And then there is health insurance and employee benefit also goes into that health insurance and other benefits. And then the third segment is on the on the life insurance as well. So all of these primarily are sold through a distribution channel. So there are few insurance companies, for example, State Farm, Allstate, farmers. Now farmers have kind of democratized. Allstate has also democratized where they are selling through distribution channel of these agents. But like State Farm, they have their own employee as agent who are selling the insurance. These are captive agents.
Like LIC used to have at one point of time.
Yeah. So, but I don't know again in LIC, if you are selling LIC, you are not prohibited from selling other policy. Uh, Carriers or the insurance company selling it, this independent agents selling it, and the third is direct to consumer, which is selling through technology or any platform like Vibra is selling it, or Lemonade is doing it. So there are a lot of platform where you can just directly go and purchase. But
Like
then
Policy
what
Bazaar
is
in
Policy
India.
Bazaar is doing? But then what is interesting in that is if you are selling through a platform, you can only sell plain vanilla products. When the risk is complicated, selling that or underwriting that is not, it cannot be algorithm driven for them to assess the risk and quote you a premium.
Hmm. Hmm. So, what's the problem that agencies face because of which you felt the need to build a software? How did you discover this problem space? And I know you're not from the industry, so which is like I'm pretty curious on how someone who's not from the industry ended up building a vertical SaaS for this industry.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And I say this all the time that, every odd you can think of was against me when you think of me as an entrepreneur and started a startup and bootstrapped and hustled my way to this point. First of all, being in US as an immigrant, starting a company is not easy. Obviously, native language, there is a language cultural barrier. So when you are pushing through, especially in an industry which is, I should not say this. I'm in India, I can say this probably. It's called pale male uh, a pale gray industry because it's the old school industry. It is run by the people in 50s and 60s who are a little bit more conservative in their thinking. So they are not looking for somebody to come and just disrupt the space. So it's not easy to penetrate in that space. You are an immigrant and you do not understand insurance. So nothing is working in my favor. And then I pursue to get this. But then there was this theory. Hey, if Elon Musk can learn about rocket science, I can learn insurance.
Right.
So again, and then gets to that thinking of, okay, and I'll tell you, it was, I would be lying if I say that, I had that aha moment where I saw that, hey, there is this big $1 billion problem. Let me go attack. Nobody has found it. I found it. And here is the gold rush. Nothing like that. There is no heroics in this story. It was as simple as a customer, I felt there is a problem in insurance consolidation. That was the problem I was chasing. But what was more important was not that I found a problem. Most important aspect was that I had that bend of willing to listen to the problems that gonna be coming to me in the next phases and had that flexibility and that bend of iterating things. I do not carry that ego of, whoa, what I'm thinking is the right solution. I'm willing to learn. And with that mindset, when I started with the problem, I went to these agencies and asked them that, hey, do you think this is a problem? And within the first 5 minutes, they busted my myth and says, no, this is not the biggest problem that we face today. I have a much bigger problem that I'm willing to pay for.
But why did you speak to agencies? Your problem was that me, the consumer, has multiple insurance policies, and I don't have one single place to see all of them. So
Let me tell you what, there was a very interesting disconnect. Customers want this where they can consolidate all their policy. Agents are the one who would pay for it. So who is paying and who is getting the value? There is a disconnect. And that's where that thing has to be crashed that moment. Hey, it is not working because who's getting the value, which is the customer. They're not going to pay for this. It is the agency who's going to pay. So that's why I went to them.
okay, okay, got
And
it.
that's
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I
Obviously, a
realized,
customer will not pay, right? Yeah, yeah. For an agency, it's a value add to ensure customer loyalty. You tell your customer that
yes,
you get this free app when you buy a policy from me, etc., etc.
yes.
Okay,
The,
got it.
and it was an opportunity for them to cross sell and upsell other products. So they wanted them on their platform. But then they said, hey, I have a much bigger fish to fry than this one.
Yeah, and what was that bigger fish?
So, so they were. Now we are talking 6 to 8 years ago, right? And at that time, still there was this transition happening. Now companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, and all are coming in has become a thing where the transition has happened in the mindset of the customers who are, which is shifting from product-based thinking to customer-based thinking. So now everybody's focused on how do I serve the customer better rather than let me have a bright, shiny object as a product. So, but that shift has happened in other industries as well as in the fintech. Insurance was still slow to transition and adapt. It's like a big steam engine. It's not going to turn that swiftly. So there was this opportunity that the industry has not yet evolved technologically, and that focus has not yet shifted from product to customers. That's where we come in and we said, okay, I think agencies can, what they have as a system is not good enough for them to engage, understand, and build that relationship with the customer. They are not able to send them email on their birthdays because there is not a good system. They do not have a way to know which policy will expire when and how do I inform them 60 days before. It was just a lot of work that they would have to do manually to be able to manage all of this. And this CRM system was designed just to cater to those communications, to cater to their pipeline, to understand what is coming through the funnel, for the leadership to understand which are my agents who are performing well. It is good for their service people to understand what kind of messages am I getting from my client, what kind of sentiments are being evolving. So all of that understanding was not existing. All that was focused through the previous agency management system was, hey, I have a product which is policy, was, hey, you buy, I sell. That's it. But now we are transitioning that buy and sell to a relationship.
So you're saying the existing software was a software to manage policies, not to manage customers, not to manage relationships. So they would have some agency management software which would have policy details, like when is this policy due, etc., stuff like that. So what is like? Do these talk to each other? Your CRM and the policy management software.
I think that was the aha moment for us. So when we built this system, see, CRM is not a new concept. There are world-class CRM products out there, starting with Salesforce to Zoho in India, and there are many more in between. So I do not pride myself in saying that, we have built the best in the class CRM. But what I pride ourselves in committing to is we have built a system that is world class in terms of integration with these other systems. So the back and forth communication with the policy management systems and other systems is so the plumbing is way more powerful than just the application. So that 1 plus 1 becomes 11 rather than, it becomes way more of a hustle. Now I have to manage two systems.
Mm. So before Insured Mind, like an agency might have taken a Salesforce, so they would manually be copying data from
Exactly.
the agency
Yeah.
management software onto Salesforce so that
Yep. It's a
their
double entry system.
okay, so that the customer, if he's asking a question about a policy, then at least that data is within Salesforce or for reminders, due dates,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. How how does the claim management work? Is it the agency's responsibility to help the customer with the claim, or the customer directly goes to the insurer and the agency has no role in that?
No, agency do have a role to play. Like also in India, I think also the agents do that because I think it's an extended service. This is the moment of truth. You are paying insurance throughout the life for this moment,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
And if at that moment of crisis, you are not standing next to your customer, what are you in business for?
Hmm.
And I think building that empathy, building that relationship, that trust, and that support at that moment is all they can do. And you need to maneuver so many things at that moment. And agents do really help because they understand that space really well and what you can do, what you cannot, and just getting that guidance and support plays a huge role.
Hmm. So, which product handles claims, like your CRM or the agency management system?
Both in a way because the communications. So I'll give you a very classic example. One of our agencies, they have grown their business dramatically in the last 24 months. On what basis? They are pan US. They would identify the pockets where there is thunderstorm, where there's flood, and they would send, based on the geographical location, they would send text messages. Guys, if you have flood in your house, or if you got thunderstorm or a tree fall on your house, text us back. We are going to file your claim, we'll get you started. And just that
Ah,
relationship has taken
right.
them over the roof in terms of new
Hmm.
business.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, fascinating. Got it. Okay. Uh, so to me, this seems like a business which should scale fast by raising VC money. And I'll tell you why I feel that way. A CRM is a pretty sticky product. It's very hard for companies to replace a CRM because all your data resides in that, and it is never easy to migrate your data from one CRM to another CRM, and for your people to relearn, unlearn, and relearn. So, uh, you know, what you have built. You have limited period of time in which you are exclusive to it. I feel like this is a product which someone else with a little bit of money, maybe $1 million, could also build. uh, so you have a limited period of time in which you can capture this market. Every customer who installs your product will likely stick to it unless you screw up badly, which most probably you will not. So why not be more aggressive, raise VC money? Is this business opportunity large enough for a VC to be attracted? Did you try raising VC
Absolutely.
funds?
Yeah, no. So that's a very good question, but let's start with just again focusing on the US market. There are a couple interesting nuance in that. First of all, there is why if we are kind of a threat to this agency management system, they always believe we're gonna eat them up, we believe they're gonna eat us up. That thing is always happening, right? It's Life of Pi. You remember that tiger and that
Yeah,
guy, right?
right. Okay.
So
Hmm,
both
hmm,
have to
hmm.
be alert. uh,
Hmm, hmm.
but why we have survived so far, why we have thrived, why we are continuing to do, why a new entrant, as you said, with $1 million, there's a lot of $1 million out there.
Hmm.
There are a lot of smart engineers out there.
Yeah,
Why we
anyone
have
could
not been
build your
able to be
product.
replaced?
Right. Yeah.
But there is that layer of thinking that is important. It is, as I said, it is not a CRM.
Hmm.
It is the depth of the plumbing, which is not easy to replicate because we understand this workflow so deep that just anybody bringing in a Salesforce or Pipedrive or Zoho would not be able to replace because of all these workflows that we have built.
But there's a limited period. That's my point. I mean, someone could spend a year or two and learn what you have learned.
Possibly they can, but the point is, if they are trying to capture us in 2 years, we are also moving 2 years forward.
And why not move forward faster with VC money? That's my question to you.
Possibly, there are a couple of attempts in the past that we have made, but it always felt like, the we may be able to capture the market faster, but we will lose the identity of how we, because see, it's not just about profitability and scale, it is also about empathy with the customers, the relationships that we have built, the way we are catering to the market. It's that whole thesis is all on that. And I don't think there is any intent to lose that thesis.
Hmm. Okay. What is the opportunity for this CRM? How many? You said there are 4,000 agencies.
40,000, 40,000
40,000.
agencies.
Okay. And
So,
how
so
much
that's
do you
another
earn?
element of that. So if you look at this 40,000, probably there is 5 to 10,000 of these agencies who are 10 to 15 plus users. And then there's a long tail of 30,000 agencies which are less than 10 users,
Mom and pop agencies.
mom and pop agencies. And that market is very notorious.
Hmm. Right. Okay. Okay. How much do you earn
It's
from an
like a
agency
revolving
on an
door.
average? Right.
Was that?
Hmm. What's your average contract value from an agency?
So our contract value is around 13 to 14K, which means 12 to 14. So our ICP is in fact 10 user. So we cater to that first 1,500 agencies to the in the country. So today we have almost out of top 50 agencies, we cater to 17 agencies out of that top 50.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
one,
Okay.
three, seven, nine. There's a lot of these numbers that we are catering to that larger. And who are we replacing is Salesforce primarily.
Hmm. 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 Okay. 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 Got it. Got it. So I guess part of it is also possibly this market size is maybe 10 to 20 billion dollars, something like that. Uh, which hmm.
Just on the CRM side, as the ecosystem, the platform is evolving, it has a potential to disrupt few other uh, cards on the table.
What are those?
So again, if you look at that ecosystem or that as agencies, the AMS itself, it's probably I would say $2 to $3 billion market just from a revenue side. And then you look at this whole CRM side of the market. Then there is other periphery, the voice softwares. There is at least 10 other softwares in the space, which adds up another probably $1 billion. So if you add all this up, so probably there is a $3 to $5 billion space just in the PNC.
Okay. And then you can go beyond PNC into other.
That's one thing. You can go horizontally to other, or you can go to others. So Canada, UK, Australia. So these are the markets also kind of almost there. Canada itself is very open market that you can cater to. So the market is decent size.
You know, I'm always curious to learn secrets of bootstrapping. A lot of people I interview are funded, and when you're funded, then money is part of how you grew. But when you're bootstrapped, then money is not how you grew. So, how did you reach to 5 million ARR? What were some of those lessons along the way? Like be it about acquiring customers or increasing the ACVs and things like that.
Absolutely. And I think there is not a single answer and there is not a single phase. Um, 0 to half million was a whole different story. Then half to 2 million, and then 2 to 5 was a whole different story. Uh, and each of them had such an interesting lesson for us. What we were doing, and I'll tell you, in the first half million, it was just door knocking. Literally, I was the sales guy. So I sold until the first million, and I was just picking up the phone, and then every call, hang up, hang up, hang up, not interested, call me later. And this was just, and my wife would tell me, like, I have not seen a guy who just got rejected and then picks up another call with a smile on his face.
Amazing.
I said, well,
Hmm.
do I have a choice?
Hmm.
Right? That's what I have to do. And that what continued. And then the funny thing is, I should
You
not
had
say, yeah,
quit your job
mhm.
before starting, or like?
No, I have not. I moonlighted this for almost 18 months.
Wow.
And
I,
and then we got, because we were operating in India, and then there was a team. So we hired 4 guys in India who were building all of this. We just working with them at that point. And then growing that team. When we had almost 15 or 16 employees, almost, 600, 700K in revenue. And that's when I quit. And it's funny. So I was in US and I quit the job, and my mom starts crying. He was the only bread earner. And now what happens?
Right. Yeah.
And unfortunately, my parents were there in US at that time. And it was a freaking bold decision. It's like jumping without a parachute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I told my Mom, let me take this shot. I promise you will not regret that, I did not give my best. Because I don't control the outcome, I control my efforts. And we were at that point, and then we hit COVID, and then everything was just still, it worked for us because we were at that time working literally 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was just a continuous, insane amount of work that got done in that period. And we grew well in that COVID because everything was becoming digital and people needed software like this to be able to engage with the clients. Hey, so it just worked well. It was just so it takes, as we say, it takes iron balls to be an entrepreneur. It's not easy. Um, so that was phase one, and then as we started to cater to the second phase, where the customers were growing, product was scaling, we had few big accounts, and but we were churning pretty big as well because it was the early days of the product was not stable and a lot of things were happening. So we focused a little bit on product, and then built a sales team that allowed us to kind of stabilize that. Then comes this hyper growth mode when we hit probably 1.5 to 2 billion, and then we were growing to 5. That's where we kind of had specialized departments. We had focus on very specific numbers. Initially, it was, as I said, even in the first phase, one objective was we have to survive one more day. We have to survive one more day. And that was the motto, that can we do one more day? Because we were going low on cash. We were not having good success with customers. So those things are just a natural part of it. Just if you have that uh, tenacity, perseverance to push through, you will see the light of the day. And that's what happened. But in the phase three, it was a whole different problem. Now we have scaling problem. You know, 2,000 simultaneous users is using the system, and the system is getting jammed. Um, you don't think about those things in the phase one and phase two, but phase three, if you're thinking, it's already too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there were a lot of moments where, hey, stop freaking building any new piece of feature. Just get the product, right security, because now you have the billion-dollar accounts. These guys are selling billion-dollar policy premiums. You want everything as secure as possible. So security, scalability, or speed were some of the things that we started focusing on. Those were not up. So then, that SOC 2 compliance and other things kind of came into picture. So which were like luxury to us in the beginning, but were becoming a necessity as we moved on to this third phase. And things have been structured. And I'm fortunate that I have uh, good team members, good leaders who are very stable in the organization, who have taken this product and the company to this point.
Uh, I think, one thing which most people don't necessarily hear about is how bootstrap founders have a extremely high discipline on cost control, because you cannot bootstrap if you don't have that discipline. So what's your decision making framework on what you should spend money on? I mean, as an example, you could hire a sales guy, like a top notch sales guy might cost 100 to $150,000 in the US. Similarly, a product manager would cost, again, similar 100 AI engineers today are getting $1 million salaries also. So that obviously is out of the question. But so, how do you think about what you should spend money on, what you should not spend money on, so that you're able to continue to bootstrap your way up?
No, that's a very interesting question, and it's very important for irrespective bootstrap or not. I think, see, your first circle of employees, who are committed, who are spending not just 8 to 10 hours, but they're spending their time when they are sleeping thinking about, hey, what I have to do tomorrow. Why is this thing stuck? You identify those people, and you build a kitchen counter conversation guys. These are the people you interact and solve problems with. And I'm fortunate that we had a lot of those guys. And the interesting thing was, so for example, I'll tell you, until today, I don't have a chief product officer. So there is no CPO. It's the CTO guy who is running the tech and me who have been, and my wife complains about this, that you talk to this guy more than you talk to me.
Right.
Um, but that's what happens. We spend so much time together, problem solving. Hey, why is this customer saying this? Why is this happening? What can we do to tweak this? How can we increase this adoption? Why is this churn happening? Why is this becoming so consistent? So all of these conversations are happening because we have been continuously thinking, and then it's not one guy. There's a group. Other important thing in doing all of this was we are not just thinking in isolation. We are thinking with customers. As I say always, that you have to be listening to a customer at a decibel that no other person is listening
Hmm.
because they are talking.
Hmm.
And so we build at an average of 600 to 700 features or enhancement in a year. I am not that smart to think of those 600 features. Who is telling me? My customers are telling me. But most important thing is I'm listening to them. I'm understanding those 600 and 700. I'm understanding the difference between what they're telling. Is this their custom need, or is this can be productized?
Hmm.
So you have to have that wisdom to understand the difference between those two.
You have to
And that
filter
happens
out
with,
the
yes.
requests from customers.
And then comes that part on, hey, how you become frugal in thinking about. So you would hear that, as InsuredMine employees, I'll pay you top dollars, but I'm also expecting you to be, grinding. This is a startup. We all hustle. As a CEO, I hustle. I expect everybody in the company to hustle in the same way. So there is no comfort zone. Nobody is able to just, hey, go. So things like if we are going to a conference, two guys are sharing a room, which is a big situation in US.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't give a shit.
yeah. Yeah.
If you want to go, you better be sharing the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
You know, we other example is, lot of large companies, they will send a shipment through FedEx. No, we would put it in the suitcases and we would carry along with us.
Hmm. Hmm.
So every dollar that we can save, we have saved. Um, Office size, we would not have those fancy lavish office. Hey, what is needed, just get that kind of. Okay, you don't want uh probably a ant-fested office, but you do not want an ivory tower.
Hmm.
So things like that, do what is needed to take us from A to B.
Hmm. 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 Okay, fascinating. Um, how do you manage the business from India? Because all your customers are in the US, and you decided to come back to India. What made you decide to come back to India, and how are you able to run it from India?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting phase of my life and career, and a very bold decision, to say the least. There are very few decisions. Well, definitely starting InsuredMine or quitting was one of a bigger and a bolder decision. As good as coming to US 18 years ago was a big and bold decision. But I think all that is dwarfed by this decision when you have lived in US to a life of comfort for 18 long years, and suddenly one fine day you decide to pack your bags, sell your house, your cars, uproot yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to go back. I'll tell you another element of that is, this taking this decision might be very quick and bold and big, but it was never an impossible decision because I never gave up my passport. So being in US for 18 years, you always get to a place where you can file for green card and your citizenship. And most of my colleagues or people who came with me in 2007 have done that and got to a place of comfort. You don't want to be in that middle of this immigration situation. I chose to be in that middle of that immigration situation because it was not a question of if, it was a question of when I go back.
Why? What what makes you so patriotic? Is there something in your childhood that instilled this love for India in you, or
I don't think I want to brand myself that I'm patriotic or something like that. I think my goal is always about, hey, how far you have come. You always have to look back. If you don't remember your history, history will not remember you.
what is your history? What got you to the US in the first place?
So everything, from growing up in a 90 square feet home, house, apartment, whatever you want to call it, um, a room is how. So a family of five of us, we grew up in a room of 90 square feet. And growing from that upbringing and then going to a good
What did your
prestigious
father do?
college.
Like, what was
He was
his?
a businessman.
Okay.
He is a retired now, but did
What kind of
enough to
business?
so it's a trading business
Hmm.
of he would bring grinding stones from all over the country, basically Bombay and Chennai and Bangalore, and then he would retail those in the local markets. It's a good business, but he chose to invest his time on his kids. So if we have exams and if we have other education activities, he would not travel so he can help us. So it was a choice he made. And I'm very happy that he made that choice. He invested well and we did okay.
Those values would have come from your father only, I guess. That family first,
Absolutely.
right?
Um,
Hmm.
Family first, that's number one. And then second is, it was not a magic that I got to a place that I was able to apply to US universities. There is a lot that got in between being a year old to that 24-year-old kid who is aspiring to go to US. And all that was not my money, whether it was state government, central government, local people. Somebody gave me his house to live. to study the street lamp under which I studied other things. So there is a lot that has contributed to who I became.
Mm.
Then how suddenly can I become so selfish, forget everything that has happened in the past, and just look forward and just be in that cocoon space of comfort?
What did you do for graduation, and like what made the US thing come up in your mind?
It's funny, nothing per se, So I went to St. Xavier's, I did my BCom there, and then MCom from Calcutta University. Um, but, so I come from a very very mediocre background. And for me, I'll tell you, it's funny, control your laughter on that. So I watched this movie, right? Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, and it
Yeah.
fascinated me. This guy, Shah Rukh Khan, and like, this guy, and that's what made me think, I think there is
Mm.
something out there that is calling me.
Mm.
And
Mm.
but it took me 7 years since that decision in my head that I need to go abroad for higher academics, and things shaped up eventually. But you got to be just persistent with that cause that I need to do this.
Mm.
Whether it's about going to US took me 7 years, whether it's about coming back took me 18 years. All these are just indicators of, if you have put your mind to something, you will do it, but you just got to be there for its that outcome.
You got a scholarship, I'm assuming, right? Because your father wouldn't have been able to afford.
Absolutely. So
Mm.
there is two element, and I would I do not shy away from saying that. So the school gave me scholarship, and they were actually giving me lesser scholarship, and I was very blunt about that, to say that, hey, if you do not increase my scholarship, I am not coming, because nobody's paying for that.
Mm.
And so then they increased it to almost 80%. And then this 20% itself was huge,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
And
Mm.
my dad and mom says, I don't know what you're thinking, dude. How you're gonna do this? I was
Mm-hmm.
fortunate. One of my neighbor, um, he asked his relative, hey, can you be his guarantor to the bank? And that guy knew nothing about me, and he became my guarantor. And so, there's so many people who have contributed to my life.
Yeah.
So how come I just disappear from the face of this earth and say, hey, goodbye, thank you?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So this is my way of coming back and doing things, and just giving it back. And I said this to that neighbor once, that I don't think I can repay what you have done for me. But what I can ensure is I pay it forward.
How are you paying it forward?
As the reason of coming back is, hey, I've done reasonably well with my life, financially or professionally or personally. Um, I'm gifted with two very, very smart young kids who are doing fantastic in chess and other sports. My goal is, hey, I've done what I could. A lot of people have supported me to get me where I am. My goal is create another 100 Raution. Um, for that reason, I started a foundation last year in the name of my grandparents, Sudama Devi Bhagwan Das Jaiswal Foundation. And the intent of that foundation is, so one of the projects we started is Project Disha. And Disha is all about giving consultation and counseling to kids of grade 9, 10, 11, 12 who just know art, science, and commerce. There is a life and career way beyond that. For example, you are a podcaster. That's a career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do that guy know that? No, if he's thinking art, science, and commerce, where does he freaking fit podcasting? He wants to be an IPS or an IES. Where does he fit that?
Mm.
So
Mm.
showing them that there are opportunities that exist is the mission of this foundation, is to enlighten the path of these kids, especially. So we are catering to the kids. So 850 kids were chosen in the first phase. And these kids who go to school, government schools, um, and it's interesting, actually, you asked this question because these kids don't go to school for academics. They go to school for midday meals, many of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, it breaks my heart to see that condition of how they are there, the school condition, the education system, the students, their clothes, their shoes, a lot of things, a lot needs to change. And there is not an angel who's gonna come from the sky and just, with a magic wand. It's you and I who need to step up to do few little things here and there and make an impact.
Mm. Yeah. Amazing. How do you run US sales sitting in India? How, like, how you, I believe for like selling to this traditional kind of agency owner, you would need FaceTime.
Absolutely. See, I consider I don't, my team laughs about it when I say I don't know how to sell. So if you can't sell, nobody knows how to sell. I enjoy talking. I enjoy selling. Though I'm a technologist by heart, but selling is something I really enjoy. I have a passion about that. So, and first principle of selling is not about dazzling them with a shiny product. It's about building trust. It's about empathy. It's about understanding and listening to them. And and that's how I build a relation. Once the relation is built, product is sold.
Yeah, true. Hmm.
So that's what I focus with these larger accounts is, hey, do you understand me? Do I understand you? Do we connect? Do we have the same philosophies, the same principles on which we are running our business?
Hmm. Hmm. So
Because
you've, yeah. Sorry, you
no, I'm
finish
just
your.
going to add that, hey, I'm a long term player. Anything you would hear about me is not erratic, it's not short term. So when you have that perspective of long term on anything, it starts with the relationship because you are not looking to cut corners.
Hmm. You've played the head of product role in a way. Tell me about the product evolution over the last couple of years and what is the roadmap going forward?
Yeah, it's funny, when we started this, as I said, we didn't start by building hey, let's build a world class CRM because there is a need. In fact, as I said, the idea was to build a mobile app to consolidate policy. Then we spoke to these agencies and they said, no, this is not what I need. And then when we started listening to their need, it was more like, the anecdote I talk about is they said, hey, add 2 eyes. We added 2 eyes. They said, add 2 ears. We added 2 ears. They said, add 2 legs. We added 2 legs. They said, add 2 more legs. We added 2 more legs. Said, add a tail. We added a tail. And then when you're looking at by adding all these requirements of what they said, this looks like a dog. So that's when we say, okay, let's call it a CRM dog. Because we were not building a CRM, we were just solving their business problem. And then when you solve a set of problems, that fits into a category now, which is a CRM. So that's how we solved for it. And that's how the product was built. But now let's look at what was the first thing we solved for. The first thing we solved for was customer communication. That's what was missing. Customer communication in sales. They wanted to connect on sales, and then the communication was missing. We brought that communication, whether it's email, text, phone call, notes, all of that communication was consolidated. Now, customers' perspective was way better. It's much evolved for these agencies. So that was phase one. Phase two was about moving that into automation. Hey, how do we take high volume, low value work into automation and high value, low volume work into agents consultation. So that automation and consultation was balanced. That was phase two. And then comes this whole new era of AI. That's where we started moving into AI side of things. And even in AI, if I double click, it was into three phases. Phase one was generative AI, where we were rephrasing things, writing email, drafts, text messages, all of that. Phase two was predictive AI, where we were predicting whether this deal will be closed. What is the probability of closing this deal? What is the probability of this renewal is going to happen? What is the probability this cross sell will happen? All the probabilities for all of these things. Then comes the third phase, that what we are working on right now in AI, which is not only predictive but prescriptive. So, for example, if you are predicting the possibility of closing this deal is 20%, that's not good. So the prescriptive AI will say if you do ABC, the probability will move from 20 to 70. Bingo. That's
Okay.
what you want to do.
Mm. Mm.
So that's what we are focusing on in the phase three of AI. And so we have a pretty robust team on AI. That's what is working on. And there's a lot more beyond everything else. This is what the focus is.
Do you find India has enough talent depth in AI compared to the US?
Well, for us, the entire talent pool is actually in India. So, as I mentioned, we have a team in Bangalore, almost closer to 100 people. Engineering team is based out of Bangalore. It's unfortunate that, Bangalore has become a hub. The guys from Kolkata are flying in, UP, Bihar, Orissa, you name it, Maharashtra. All of these guys are just so talent wise, it's pretty good. But what has also happened has, as you were mentioning earlier, because there is talent and there is such a high demand, these guys who should be at 30 lakh are now sitting at 70 or 1.2.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so access to that level of talent of
Mm.
with their true salary is kind of at a whole different scale.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, a plumber will probably never lose his job to AI, but I feel like an insurance agent could very easily lose his job to AI. What is an agent doing? He is understanding the need of the customer. He's based on that. It's like consultative product building. Understanding need and accordingly building a product and underwriting. All of this is perfect for AI to do. Do you see an AI insurance agency, like where all the insurance agents are AI agents? Do you see that happening in your industry?
It's already happening. So it's not a newer concept. I think in the last few years that has evolved further and it will continue to evolve. But I am bullish on agent uh, community. I don't think agents are going anywhere
Why?
because so because see, insurance is a very niche product. There is a lot of terminology, there is a lot of nuance to that
But
just
that's
by
perfect for
writing.
AI agents, right? Like this is, I mean, eh, eh, anything which is knowledge work, where knowledge is the key thing, an AI agent is perfect for that.
See, that is what people thought when direct to consumer product came in. That, oh, I can sell it directly and they will buy it. And this will be entirely, this agent community will be disrupted. Unfortunately or fortunately, that didn't happen. And the same thing, I think what is going to happen is this agent community will embrace AI and they will leverage it to their strength to able to deliver superior underwriting capabilities and services to the customers rather than, AI just being on the side of the customer.
Mm, 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 mm. Okay, okay, understood. Okay, got it. So let me end with this. What's your advice to founders who are starting to build something today? Given the state of AI today, what should they be thinking about in terms of how to build a business, what markets to build for, should it be an AI first business, things like that. Like any advice you'd like to share with aspiring founders?
Absolutely. So see, first of all, congratulations to all those aspiring entrepreneurs. There is no better time to build. What would have taken you 2 years, 3 years to build? Today, you can build it in 2 to 3 months. So that rapid growth in how you can develop is fascinating. The platforms are so easily developed to do things, but don't be in the rat race. So I think it's very important to have that. Again, you don't need to have that background. Like I'm a classic example of that. But what you need is discipline. If you have the discipline to, okay, this is a problem, let me go at it. Go talk to everybody that would matter in this case. Understand, build your thesis around it, engage and talk. And, see, I'll tell you, there is not a single idea that is guaranteed. Not a single idea. Otherwise, there are a lot of good VCs who would have mastered that thought that, I know this is going to make it. Nobody knows. Nobody knows on any freaking idea. So, what you have to do is let an idea live its life. Some ideas will live a day, some a month, some 5 years, and some forever. So, never be so bullish on an idea. Oh, this is that $1 billion idea. You don't know. Nobody knows. So, be flexible in that way that, okay, if you can run with it, run as far as you can. Let that idea run as far as it can. But know that the idea has a shelf life, which nobody knows. Only that idea in its own mind knows. So, and then it's you how far you can go with your discipline of understanding. And, it's very important. We also had to learn that find early days customer. Find customer who is willing to pay. Don't just sit on pilots and one of them will convert. That's a death wish. Find early customers, make them your allies, and then they will. So I used to. Here is a very interesting story. My first customer, he said, "I only have time for you before I go to church on Sunday." And what would be that time? It will be 6 a.m. to 8:30. And I freaking go to bed at 4:30 or 5 a.m. And then I have to somehow figure out how do I wake up and be in his office by 6 a.m.
Mm, mm,
But hey, if that guy is giving me that time, I'm going to take it.
yeah, yeah.
So once you find a customer, be with him as much as you can. Spend time because they are the one who will tell you the tricks of the trade. And then, of course, so there's two sides of it. Build a very strong product because without product, nothing exists. Does not matter. And then start finding your early days customer. Once these two things starts humming, it may take time. It will. Other things you can manage. The selling and the product are the two things which keeps you going. And I think if you do that right, things will happen.
Mm. Thank you so much for your time, Raution. It was a real honor to speak to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share whatever little I have learned on my way.